everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another video. This video has already been so stressful to film. It's so warm in the conservatory, so I've already had to change outfits. I had the door open so that I could get some fresh air in, and then someone started mowing their lawn, which I'm hoping you can't hear now. I think they might have stopped, but I'm so warm. I really hope that I can get through this video now. So I have for you another 24 book haul. The one that went up on my channel, I mean, I don't know how long the gap between these videos will be, but one did go up on my channel kind of recently for me when I'm filming this, but that one was delayed by several months to do with my filming schedule. So if it seems like these have come really close together, they actually aren't. There has been a gap in the book buying, but I do still buy too many books. I don't have enough room for them. I have these shelves behind me and I have a set of shelves over there, and they're stacking up all over the place. It doesn't look good, but it's fine. We are where we are. I just love buying books. I haven't been reading so many books right now, but I still very much enjoy buying books, but I have really slowed down. So once I've hauled these ones, I think it'll be a nice sort of refresh for maybe not buying quite so many. So to start with, let's start with romance this time, just to mix it up, because usually I do romance last, but let's start with them first because ultimately it is the genre that I read the most. So first up, I have Love Lists and Fancy Ships by Sarah Grunder Ruiz. I have butchered that name, I'm sure, but by this author. And I actually have the sequel as well, which is called Luck and Last Resorts. I purchased these because they are set on a big yacht, and I recently went on a cruise in May to the Norwegian fjords. I will have, in fact, probably by the time this comes out, there'll be a video up on my channel talking about it, but yeah, I will have a video where I talk about the cruise in a bit more detail. I thought that this would be a good book to buy because there aren't that many books set on cruises. I really looked for some, but this one, the second one, was already on my TBR, so I thought, okay, it's time, I'm going to pick them up. But then I realised that one, this one, is the second in a series. So I picked up the first one and I read them both. This one I finished while on the cruise. This one I finished probably about a week after I got back. I did start it while I was on the cruise, but then I had a bit of a gap in reading when I got back, but I have read both of them. So in this one, we are following Jo, who is turning 30, and she has one of those kind of 30 in 30 lists. So 30 things she needs to get done in the year, but her life is derailed. Does it say this on the back? Because I don't know if it's a spoiler. Okay, it is a spoiler then, because it's not on the back. So there is some grief that Jo is dealing with, and this has kind of impacted her completing her 30 in 30 list. Her niece has come to stay with her for the summer and she's not expecting it, but they are really keen on helping her finish the list. And while this is happening, she meets this guy called Alex, who she kind of runs into on a night out. And her best friend Nina is also encouraging her to finish the list. And one of the 30 in 30 things she needs to do is kiss a stranger. So she kisses Alex, then she ends up running into Alex again when he ends up moving into her condo, and then he starts working on the ship. So there's a lot of Alex in this book in terms of her running into him, and then it kind of expands from there. And I won't give a review of this because I will have a review in my May reading journal video, but if you want to know what I thought of it, go and check that out. The second one, Luck and Last Resorts, is about Jo's best friend Nina and Ollie. And so these characters both feature in the first one. Do I think you could read this one? I mean, the cover of this one's just like one of my favorite things ever. Do I think that you could read this one without having read the first one? I think you should read the first one. The first one has just so much grief in it that it really wouldn't be for everybody, and I don't think it would stop you from enjoying this one, but there is a lot that references back to the first one in this one, so I do think there's an element of needing to read that one before this one. This one is a second chance romance. It's not really Grumpy Sunshine, but it's also not really Enemies to Lovers. It's kind of a hybrid somewhere in there. And it's basically Nina and Ollie, who have been on and off again for 10 years. And it's Ollie giving Nina the ultimatum of, this is it or we are nothing anymore. So yeah, I will be talking about this one in my June journal video because I finished it on the 1st of June. It's really annoying because I mostly read it in May, but I finished it in June. So I figure it needs to go in the June video. Next up is a romance. So I picked up 3 romances actually. Let me swap my list around. 3 romances that I picked up at the 66 Book Club. I have a vlog where I talk about the 66 Book Club. It's in Hertfordshire and it's basically a big book warehouse where they have sort of books at like 70% off their retail price, but I talk about the whole experience in that vlog. The first one is A Cosmic Kind of Love by Samantha Young. I found it really difficult to pick books up in the 66 book club, so I had a really limited time to get through, so I had to really pick books up kind of on a whim, really. And so I hadn't heard anything about this book, but when I read the blurb, I think it's my kind of thing. So Hallie is an event wedding planner, I think, and she sees in the file that the bride sends her, that really sounds like me as a bride, that there's like a file of inspiration. She sees videos from the bride's ex-boyfriend, I think. I hadn't realized that originally, but I think the bride's ex-boyfriend. And this guy is an astronaut, and so Hallie decides to start sending emails and stuff to his discontinued NASA address. I'm not really sure why. And she thinks he'll never see them, but then his friend forwards them to him, and he does. But when he sees Hallie, he just can't stop, like, his heart racing and kind of getting feelings from her. So I then guess it's going to be the story of how they meet. No idea what I'm going to think of this, but you know, it sounds pretty fun. And I picked this one up because when we went to Florida last year, we went to NASA, and so getting some romance books about astronauts, and I have a love-hate relationship with Ali Hazelwood and those, you know, kind of STEM romance novellas, so I thought this would just be like a good one to pick up. And then the other two romance books that I bought at the 66 book club are by Holly Martin. So we've got Spring at Blueberry Bay and Summer at Buttercup Beach. I have always loved Holly Martin. I'm very much back into reading, which is why I post book content on here, but I was reading a lot in kind of the last 10 years. I just had a break for a few years, but the primary author I was reading was Holly Martin. And so when I saw these books, they were just on a random table at the 66 book club. I was like, okay, great, I'm gonna pick those up. I think that they would be a really good fit for me, and I know I would like them. So first up, I think in the series, I'm pretty sure these are a series. I mean, they look very similar. So I'm pretty sure the first one would probably be Spring. So in this one, we have Bella and Isaac. Bella is a really sunny personality, really caring. And even though she's fallen on hard times, she would always prioritize other people over her. And she finds a handsome homeless man on her doorstep. She decides to let him into her home, but Isaac's keeping a big secret from her. So she kind of, you know, while she can't ignore the chemistry, you know, is he going to break her heart? So, I mean, like, I really like Holly Martin's writing, so I'm excited to get back into it because I haven't read any Holly Martin in like 5 or 6 years maybe at this point, so it'll be really fun to get back into it. This one, the summer one, is so much smaller. So in this one we have Freya and Rome. She's utterly in love with her best friend. It's a best friends to lovers, one of my favorite tropes. They work together, but Rome has never like showed that he has any feelings for Freya, but it's got a little bit more touchy-feely. But Freya knows that Rome has a damaged heart. I bet I'm gonna love this. And it is shorter. It's like under 300 pages, which is so rare for a romance to be under 300 pages. But to be honest, I think a lot of romances could be under 300 pages, so maybe that's a good thing. So yeah, I'm really excited to read both of those. Okay, then next up we have a book that I bought from The Works. So if you're not from the UK, The Works is, I mean, it's a kind of little bit of everything shop, but it has quite a lot of cheap books that you can get from there. And then it also has kind of crafts. That's basically what the shop has. It's great. And I picked this one up for £3. Everyone on BookTube is talking about this book. Steph loves this. Hannah's recent reads, Meg with books. So like everyone that I really like their BookTube content really likes this book, so I had to get it. So this is Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. I love the colour, so cute. And this has got a bit of an age gap as part of it, so it'll be interesting to see how that works. And it's got Alexis and Daniel, and their relationship's pretty casual, but Alexis is feeling like her world is just being turned upside down by this guy, and she thinks that things could go further, but their relationship is supposed to be casual. There also seems to be some kind of family drama. All her family are world-renowned surgeons, but she's a mere ER doctor, and it's about her kind of figuring out what is important to her. She's like staying in the town with Daniel. It's a really like close-knit small town, so we've got a bit of small town romance in here as well. I think this will be really fun. Really looking forward to it. And as I say, everyone is loving Abby Jimenez right now, so I'm sure I will probably love this. And then last up in the romance category, we have Glitterland by Alexis Hall. Again, a smashing buy from The Works. And Alexis Hall is the author of Boyfriend Material, which is one of my favourite books of 2022. I absolutely loved it. I did not enjoy the sequel so much. I did read that earlier this year and I wasn't so much of a fan, but I loved Boyfriend Material. And I really, really like Alexis Hall's writing. My issues with the sequel to the book were not about Alexis's writing. It was just about the fact I didn't feel I needed that particular story to be told. So when I saw that this book was in the works, I thought, oh, I've got to pick that up because I really like Alexis's writing. This one also very much has mental health rep, and I've kind of realised the more that I read, the more I really like mental health representation in books. Part of me reading the blurb of this just now is I'm a little bit worried I'm going to find it kind of too close to home, in that we've got a character called Ash who is really struggling with his mental health and his anxiety, and he's kind of forgotten what it feels like to live without it. And then he meets Darian. I think Darian. That's not a name we see so often. But I think Darian, and he is so flashy and loud and radiant and full of life, and he makes Ash laugh and makes him realize what it would be like to live without to live beyond the boundaries of his anxiety. And then it's about Ash sort of working out whether he can love Darian and fit him into his life. I just think this is super interesting and quite similar to some of the other Alexis Hall books and similar to other books I've loved. So it's going to be interesting to see. Sometimes I worry that mental health books will sort of get to me too much as somebody who lives with quite bad anxiety, but we'll see, I guess. I tend to like it in books, so I'll probably like this one. Let's now go to some YA, because most of these are romance as well, so we may as well stay in that category. So first up we have Kisses and Croissants by Anne-Sophie Ioannou. I don't think I've pronounced that correctly. I've already read this, so this would have been in my April reading wrap up, I think, my April reading journal video. So this is about Mia, who is a ballet dancer. She is really trying to forward her career, and she ends up going to Paris for a summer to a prestigious ballet school. While she's there, she meets a guy called Louis, who turns out to be kind of linked to the ballet school, and it's about her dealing with her feelings for him whilst also figuring out if she still wants to be a ballet dancer, if that's going to be her whole life, or if she wants to explore Paris, if she wants to explore a relationship with Louis. So it's very much my kind of story. I feel like it leads really like Mary-Kate and Ashley, which is what I deem as kind of YA that I enjoy. So yeah, but you can hear me talk about this one in my April reading wrap up. This next one is just so my kind of thing, because we've got a fake dating relationship. This is This Time It's Real by Anne Liang. What a stunning cover. So in this story we have Eliza, who writes an essay for her English class, I think, about meeting the love of her life, and it goes viral, but she made the whole thing up. She's never been in love. There's an actor in her class, Kaz, who she strikes a deal with to agree that he will pose as her fake boyfriend if she helps him with her college applications, and then they develop real feelings for each other. I'm so excited to read this. This is so my kind of thing. And I picked this up from, there's a bookshop in Battersea Power Station. Really, really good bookshop. If you're there, I really recommend it. Really lovely shop. It's massive as well. And I picked this up from there. The next one I picked up on a total whim from, what's the name of there's a bookshop in St Pancras Station, and I cannot think, is it Foyles? But I picked this up from there on a total whim when I had a bit of time. I'd had a really anxiety driven day. I was feeling really poorly, and so I just needed to buy a book. So this is What If It's Us by Becky Albertalli and Aldem Silvera. Again, I hadn't heard anything about this book. Oh, best-selling author of They Both Die at the End. That's where I recognise the name from. Okay, interesting. But this is written by two authors, but one of them wrote They Both Die at the End, which I have very much heard of. And this hasn't got the best ratings on Goodreads, so it'll be interesting to see what I think of it. I picked this up because it features Broadway, it features New York. So me. So this is about Arthur and Ben. So Arthur is only in New York for the summer, but if Broadway has taught him anything, is that the universe can deliver a show-stopping romance when you least expect it. And then Ben thinks the universe needs to mind its own business, and he's carrying a box of his ex-boyfriend's things. They have a chance meeting in the post office. They wonder, leaving, are they going to be able to reunite? If they do, can they nail a first date? And then what if life really isn't like a Broadway musical? But what if it is? Fun. So yeah, if you don't know, I have a musical theatre degree, so there's not that many books out there that are about Broadway and shows and things like that, so I thought it would be fun to read. There is a sequel, so we may have a bit of a boyfriend husband material on our hands here, because I'll want to bet I probably won't need to read a sequel to this, but anyway, we'll see what I think. And then last up for the YAs, we have Cursed Crowns by Catherine Doyle and Catherine Webber. I have the first one of this, not in this edition. I got the Fairy Loot edition, which was just in a Fairy Loot box, and it's so pretty. Is it behind me? Can I get it? It's not. It's over there and I don't want to get up. But yeah, it's one of the prettiest books I own, and I haven't read it yet. But so do I need the sequel? No. But I picked up the sequel because this edition is so pretty. Look at the sprayed edges. And I was like, well, if I really like the first one and I want to read the second one, then I need to have an equally pretty edition. And I didn't think I was going to be able to get this because Waterstones did 2 editions, I think 1 for each sister. And I really didn't like the other one as much. It was kind of more like a sort of lightning electric pattern. I didn't like it as much, but I held out, I didn't buy that one, and then this one came back in stock. So do fill in your Waterstones like restock requests, people, because it might work, and it's so gorgeous. So yeah, it's different because the front cover I have doesn't have the girls on it, and I know like the first Waterstones in the regular edition did, but it's fine. I just wanted an equally pretty edition. I'm not going to read the back because I figure it's going to spoil the front for me. It's a YA fantasy about 2 sisters. I could go and get the first one to read the blurb to you, but I'm not going to, so look it up if you want to. First one's called Twin Crowns, second one is called Curse Crowns. Okay, now let's do graphic novels, my babies. So first up we have The Sad Ghost Club 3 by Lise Meddings. Have I read 1 and 2? No, friends, I haven't read 1 and 2. So you may question why I then need to buy 3, but I know I will love these. I just haven't read them yet. This is about basically sort of little ghosts with anxiety finding friends. It's so my kind of thing, and there's absolutely no excuse why I haven't read them yet, but I know I'll love it. So I ended up picking up the third one. I think I got this when there was like double points on Waterstones. My edition is a little bit bashed up there. I don't know how well you can see it, but it's not doing so well, so I am annoyed by that. But I figured out that returning stuff to Waterstones really doesn't work, and I'll explain that when it comes to the next book. But yeah, I just think these are gorgeous. I love the art in them. Obviously I haven't read it yet, but like I know I'll love it. So next up is I Think Our Son Is Gay, Volume 3. So I have already hauled this on the channel, but my edition from Waterstones came really like dirty and bashed up on the back. So I returned it via Waterstones, but returning via Waterstones online is not great because basically it has a you fill in a form and you send it in, but it's via free post, and you have no record that you've posted it, and then they just don't get in touch with you. You don't report it online, you don't like record that you sent it in the way you do if you return clothes. So I've returned it and they've never resent it to me. I could reach out to them about it, but again, I have no proof that I sent it back. So I've learned a lesson, and I'm gonna try to think about what that means for me with Waterstones in the future. Like I really want to support Waterstones because I don't want to like buy all my books from Amazon. I'd much rather buy them from Waterstones, but that's not great if that's their returns policy. So, and I think if you buy online, you can't return to shop, I think, because we do have a store where I live. Anyway, hopefully it will never be a thing that needs to happen again, but I did end up repurchasing this. It's fine. It's absolutely fine. I don't care that I've spent another £11 on this book. This is I Think Our Son Is Gay, Volume 3 by Akura. I've read the first 2 in this series, and it's about, let me remind myself of the names, so it's a little while, about Hiroki, who is secretly probably gay, and his mum, Tomoko, is figuring out how she's going to approach that. It's very much, I think, set in a culture where it's not kind of common to be gay, and so she's figuring out how she's going to support her son to recognize that he is gay, but also feel comfortable to come out, and how that's going to work in society. And so it's, you know, it's a kind of, there's like layers of complication that happen here, and I really like it. It's very cozy, it's really fun. It doesn't have massive amount of plot, but it's a really nice read. The art is absolutely stunning as well, and Volume 3 is the next one I needed to read, so that's kind of partly why I like pushed forward and bought it again. I've just realised I said graphic novel, but this is a manga. I think this is the only manga that I have, but yeah, this is technically a manga, so that means you read it backwards. But yeah, the art's absolutely gorgeous in this, and I love the little brother. Do we have any Yuri art in here? He's just my favorite. I love him with everything I have. Here he is. Here's my boy. No, that's the dad. Yuri and the dad look so similar. Where is Yuri? Yuri is the little brother, and he's so funny and like just deadpan. I love him. So I always give this book an extra star just for Yuri. Next up we have Galaxy, the Prettiest Star by Jadzia Axelrod and Jess Taylor. I also picked this up at the bookstore at Battersea Power Station. This is a DC graphic novel, so I assume it is based on characters that already exist in the DC universe, but I haven't heard of them and didn't realise it was a DC story until I got it home. This is about Taylor, who has the perfect life, good looks, good grades, starter on the basketball team, a loving family, even an adorable corgi. Every day in Taylor's life is perfect, and every day is torture, because Taylor is having to be on land, like basically posing as a a boy on Earth rather than what they actually are, which is is a princess from a planet and one of the few survivors of an intergalactic war. And then everything changes when she meets a girl called Catherine, who's called Kat. Fan. And then her confidence is electrifying, and suddenly Taylor no longer wants to hide. She wants to show her true identity, even if it will attract her greatest enemies. The art in this is just beyond gorgeous, which is why I picked it up, because I can't resist beautiful art in graphic novels. And I thought this would be fun because I'm quite into my DC books at the moment, actually. And we'll talk about those in a little bit. But yeah, so I thought this would be a really fun one, and I'm really interested to see where this story goes. The more I read this, the more I flick through it, the more I think this art is just absolutely stunning. So excited to read this. Let's stick with the DC graphic novels. So we have the next 3 books in the Teen Titans series by Cami Garcia and Gabriel Piccolo. So we have the first one, which is the second one, because the first one is Raven. The second one, which is Beast Boy. The third one, which is Beast Boy Loves Raven. And the fourth one, which is Robin. So I have read Beast Boy and I've read Raven. Raven, I gave a 5-star. I absolutely loved it. I talked about it in probably my April reading wrap up. I didn't love Beast Boy as much. I think that Gar is just, I don't know, for me, I really loved Raven's story, and I didn't find Gar's story sort of as for me, I guess. Again, Raven's dealing with mental health stuff, so that's probably why I liked it. But I'm so interested to see what happens here with Beast Boy and Raven. And then, yeah, the fourth one is Robin. They're not coming out particularly quickly. I think they come out either once a year or once every couple of years, and Robin is the most up-to-date one. So I am trying to like eke them out because I just loved Raven so much. The art in this is beyond stunning. If you have any interest in superheroes, I would really recommend picking this series up. The Raven art is so pretty, and it's done in a kind of monochrome art style, which I really like in graphic novels. And Raven's art is just like glorious and purple, and I just love it so much. And then yeah, Gar has a kind of more like turquoisey colour. So yeah, really fun, and I'm really excited. I'm not going to read the blurbs because I don't want to spoil for me what's happened, given I've only read the first 2, but so excited to carry on with this series. Next, we also have a sequel to a graphic novel I have already read the first one of, and this is Check Please Volume 2, Sticks and Stones by Ngozi Ukazu. So in the first one, we follow Bitty and Jack. And Bitty is moving to Sandwell University to play hockey. He's really more of a figure skater, but he gets drafted into the hockey team. And he hasn't come out as gay in his hometown, but he comes out as gay while he's at university because he feels like he can be much more his authentic self. And he's really into baking, and he vlogs for a YouTube channel. And so the book is actually sort of following him vlogging on his YouTube channel. And whilst doing that, he kind of recognizes that maybe he has feelings for the captain of the team, Jack. So something happens at the end of the first one, leaves it on a cliffhanger. So very interested to see where the second one goes. And I think I would really recommend this if you are a fan of my babes, Nick and Charlie. I would really recommend that you pick this up. I think it very much has similar Heartstopper vibes. I don't think it's as good as Heartstopper because nothing to me is as good as Heartstopper, but I would recommend this if you like Heartstopper. I think it's very much in the same line. So speaking of the loves of my life, Nick and Charlie. So this is Heartstopper Volume 2, the exclusive Waterstones editions that they are doing. Oh, I think they're exclusive Waterstones, and they are foiled hardbacks. I feel a little bit guilty for buying these, which I know is really silly, but I know that a lot of people will buy sort of hardback special editions and then they won't keep their paperbacks. I much prefer paperbacks, and I love my Heartstopper paperbacks, and I will never get rid of them. They are just everything to me. And my first one is signed by Alice Oseman, the author. So I love what the paperbacks look like on a shelf. I don't really feel I need hardbacks of this series, but they have exclusive mini comics, and so that's why I picked them up. But I feel like I feel a little bit guilty about having them, which I know is like maybe a little bit silly because they are my favorite series, and it's not like I would do this for every series that I love. It's just Heartstopper is like above everything else. So I feel a little bit silly about it, but I've pre-ordered them all now, so I will still get them, and I guess if I don't want them in the end, I will sell them on. Or maybe if I was gonna like lend them to people, maybe these are the ones I would lend. I don't think I would ever lend my paperbacks. It would be too risky to not get them back. But maybe I would lend these ones or something. But yeah, I love Nick and Charlie, and I would like to reread these potentially this year. I want to see whether the experience holds up for me. But then the other part of me is terrified by that, and so I may not reread them. So we'll see. And then last up for graphic novels, we have Nothing Can Possibly Go Wrong by Prudence Shen and Faith Erin Hicks. I picked this up completely on spec, have never heard of it, from a wonderful English bookshop in Haugesund in Norway. And I wanted to buy something from this bookshop to support them. And this one, I just fell in love with the art. I love it. Graphic novel art is just my favorite. And this one I feel like is probably going to give me Heartstopper vibes. I don't know if the two of them, I should not be flicking through to find out what happens. I don't know if these two are going to get together. I don't know. But is this the same artist as Pumpkinheads? Yes, it's the same artist as Pumpkinheads. I was like, I recognize the name. So yeah, so this is the same artist as Pumpkinheads. So I'm just going to read you the blurb because I think it's really funny. So you wouldn't expect Nate and Charlie to be friends. Charlie's the laid-back captain of the basketball team. Nate is the neurotic, scheming president of the robotics club. But they are friends, however unlikely, until Nate declares war on the cheerleaders and the cheerleaders retaliate by making Charlie their figurehead in the ugliest car selection campaign the school has ever seen. At stake, student group funding that will either cover a robotics competition or new cheerleading uniforms, but not both. Bad sportsmanship? Sure. Chainsaws? Why not? Running away from home on Thanksgiving to illicitly enter a televised robot deathmatch? Let's do this. It sounds so fun. So yeah, I don't know if the two of them are going to get together. I have no idea. It might just be really cute friendship. But either way, I think I will love this. So really excited. So last up we have 4 books that are in kind of the anything else category. We've got a bit of fantasy, a bit of romance. Yeah, it's a little bit of everything. So first up we have The Lies of Locke Lamora by Scott Lynch. I picked this up from the 66 book club, and I picked this up because it's a book that I know that my fiance Stuart absolutely loves and has recommended to me a number of times, and apparently my friend Sarah likes it as well. So I thought I would get it. And this is about Locke Lamora, who is the fabled Thorn. The Thorn is supposed to be an unbeatable swordsman, a master thief, a friend to the poor, and a ghost that walks through walls. And he's not really a friend to the poor. He does steal from the rich, but he keeps it for himself and his tight-knit band of thieves. But he's now kind of getting caught up in a struggle to stay alive, basically. So yeah, Stuart thinks I'll really like this. It's quite big. I have a lot of other fantasies I need to read before this, so I'm not really sure when I will get to this. But because it was 70% off, yeah, it was worth it. Okay, then next up we have a book that took BookTube by storm last autumn, which is The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandana. And this is the US cover. I ordered it via eBay because I just don't like the UK one as much. It's purple, which I love purple, but it's more, I don't know, I just don't like it as much as I like this one. And this is a beautiful floppy edition, so it'll be really fun to read. I will probably save this for spooky season in October, so that kind of sucks, and means I don't know what I needed to buy it now, but I just panicked that, like, what if I wouldn't be able to get it then? So this is a cozy fantasy, and I think apparently this one is very cozy, and I like cozy stories, so hopefully I will enjoy it. And it's about Micah, who is one of the few witches in Britain. She needs to keep her head down, but she does post on an Instagram account where she pretends to be a witch, and someone recognizes she's a real witch and invites her to go to Nowhere House to teach 3 young witches how to control their magic. She feels like she's really starting to settle in there. There's a real cast of characters, including the handsome but prickly librarian, Jamie. Okay, so a little bit of enemies to lovers, which is not really my favourite trope. But anyway, and she's really beginning to find her place, but magic isn't the only danger in the world. And when peril comes knocking at their door, Micah will need to decide whether to risk everything to protect a found family she didn't know she was looking for. I'm sure I will enjoy this. It's pretty collectively loved on BookTube, so hopefully I'll like it. And then last up we have 2 mystery books. So the first one is the first book, A Curious Beginning, in the Veronica Speedwell mystery series. I blame buying this entirely on Hannah's recent reads. I would really recommend Hannah's channel if you like sort of cozy BookTube content. Hannah's channel is really fun. She absolutely loved this series, and I just felt like I had to pick it up and see what I was missing. So this one is about Veronica, who is is it a lepidopterist? So like a butterfly collector, I guess. And she's orphaned, and you know, she's kind of familiar with being on her own, but she then is nearly abducted, but she is helped by an enigmatic German baron who has ties to her mysterious past. He offers her sanctuary in the care of his friend Stoker, and this is an enemies to lovers as well, I think, which Hannah likes enemies to lovers a bit more than me, so I may not like this, but it's quite a long series as well. It's like 8 or 9 parts. But before the baron can sort of tell her a bit more about how he's tied to her life, he's found murdered, and so Veronica and Stoker are forced to go on the run in search of the truth. So hopefully I will like this. I have no idea. Hannah loves it. So hopefully I'll like it. And then last up we have the third in a series by Victoria Walters. Victoria is on YouTube if you want to check out her stuff. This is Murder at the Village Church. So I won't tell you too much about what's happening in this one because I think really you should read the first two. But this is about Nancy and her grandma Jane, and they run a mystery and crime themed bookshop in their town. And then they end up kind of in that cozy mystery way, they end up being brought into having to solve some murders themselves. But there is a plot that goes through this, which is linked to Nancy's background, and that's very much coming forward in the third one. So, because we took a sort of dip away from that in the second one, and then right at the end, it like came back in, and I was like, I need to know what happens. So I thought I would pick up the third one because I'm just interested to see where the story goes from here, because there's a little bit of a romance plot happening, and then obviously we've got like Nancy's mysterious history going on as well. So I really needed to see what happens. Victoria really wrote a hook at the end of the second one. I really need to stop hauling quite so many books because a big chunk of them are just on my lap right now because I can't hold up 24 books for a thumbnail. So thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you enjoyed. Let me know which of these books you think I should prioritize. Obviously, I've read a few of them so far, but the ones I haven't, are there any of them that you have loved and would recommend? I would love to hear from you. If you enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate a like. And if you haven't already, I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel. In the description, I will have a link to my Instagram, which I share with my book and planning content. And I will also have a link to my Goodreads. If you ever want to know what I think of books in real time, that's the best place to check out what's going on with me. I would love to have you follow me or be a friend on Goodreads. Please, if you like books, check me out on there. Otherwise, I'll see you in my next video. Bye. And now to figure out if I can actually hold these well enough to do a thumbnail, which I don't think I can. It's so unstable. My workout for today.